Now it's time to build the bear. The first thing we're going to do is put the little fold in the bear ears. So I've got my front and my back of my bear nose, and my two little ears here. So what I'm going to do is take the bear ear and I'm going to fold it in half, and about, let's say, halfway over, which is about 5 millimeters, I'm going to start my thread and I'm going to make a little tacking stitch here. So I'm starting my thread the same way as I showed you in the video on how to do a whip stitch, sort of in between the layers of the fibers of the felt. Leave a little tail, make a little tacking stitch there. And I'm going to go and do a stitch. I'm going to go about 4 times through in this spot, making sure my stitch is perpendicular. So what this stitch does is it creates a little fold in the bear ear. And it's amazing how fast, when you open it up, you get this cute little fold in the ear. And it gets a nice little shape. So cute. So I'll just finish this up. Like that. And then do one of your little loops. Now for this one, we're just going to thread the needle into the stitch if you can, and in between the felt layers again. And we're going to trim that there. See how I did on the inside. Pretty good. So I'll trim this thread off like that, this extra piece. And this little ear is ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just gently pull that ear and flatten this piece. This is the back. That little piece is the back. And that is one ear done. So now when we sew him into the bear head, we'll sew along the line there, and then that little fold will create a nice ear shape. So I'll do the other ear, and next we'll talk a bit about the muzzle. All right, my two little bear ears are done here, and they are adorable. And now we're going to work on the muzzle. So what we need to do with the muzzle is we need to do a basting stitch about, say, 2 millimeters around, away from the edge. So I'm going to take a thread here, double-stranded, with the tie a knot. This will all be hidden, so don't need to worry about the knot on this one. And just do your basting stitch around the edge, 2 millimeters away. It'll be gathered and then stuffed, so if you want to grab some of your roving. Just a couple words on roving and stuffing for the bear. I have used polyester and roving both, and the roving is superior, especially for molding the little bear. So you know, when you get to the nearing the end and you're putting his little belly in there and shaping his head, the roving is just so much easier and so much nicer for shaping. You do need quite a bit of it, so don't be surprised, too surprised at the amount that I'm giving you in your kits. It does not go as far as you think it will. And you get nice, dense, compact, cute little bear. I'll just finish this up here, and I'll be right back. I gotta go grab my roving. All right, I am back now, and I've finished doing the basting stitch around my muzzle. So we're just going to pull that closed so that you want about a 1/2 inch in the middle of an opening. You can use your finger. That's a really good way to guesstimate the size of the opening, like that. So once you get it to about there, I'm just going to lock my stitch in. So I don't want it to open up again on me. Just do a couple of tacking stitches and then a knot. And I'm going to leave this thread attached for now. So in your kit you have a skewer, a wooden skewer, the kind that you put meat on and throw on the Barbie or vegetables. Best tool ever, and cheap. Like that. So now I've got, there's his little nose. You kind of see, he goes, the nose goes on very last, but this is just a little bit of pre-prep work. Take some roving and then just pull it into little bits. This helps it from getting lumpy. You don't want a lumpy bear. That, take a little bit of that and stick it in the hole. If you want, you can put some of this in before. Oopsie, sorry. But see how this little pointy end and the roving just kind of buries itself inside the little nose. That you don't want to put too much in. It's like a little marble rolling around. I'm gonna put a bit more in, but you want it to be somewhat firm, but not too firm that you can't squish it a bit. It's amazing, but yes, all of that big piece I just have will fit in the nose. Just kind of poke it in. Take a bit of that out. You can continue to work on this as you go through, like once we actually apply the nose and start stitching it on. You can add more or take away whatever if you like. There we go. I think we got her. There, that's it. That's the nose. So what'll happen is when we finish our bear at the very end, we're going to kind of flatten that out a little bit, and then we're going to do a ladder stitch onto the bear head and add the nose and his little mouth and eyes. But that's the very last step. So this little part is done now. So we'll move on to the next step, which will be to do the darts on the bear. All right, so we're going to start working on the darts on the bear's head, both front and back pieces, and this will give our bear a round head. So the felt is doesn't have a right or wrong side. So I'm going to say that this is the right side. I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to match the little dart here up. And I'm taking a single strand of thread, and I have knotted this one. And I'm going to start at the center of the dart, and I'm going to do about 1.5 millimeters. And I'm going to whip stitch this dart closed. And I'm going to make my stitches a bit smaller than I would on the outside of the bear. Because with this, these darts, they will be visible on the front of the bear, but the smaller you make your stitches, the closer together. Pull them nice and tight. They will be fairly invisible if you make them nice and small. I pull them quite snug. I don't like to have the seam. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. So when you open this up, you can kind of see here a bit looser, a little tighter. Tighter is a bit better of a look. So I like to keep them on the tight side. And again, when you're doing your whip stitch, just keep your stitches nice and even, perpendicular to the edges and go right to the edge. As close as you can get there. I'm going to do one more, and then this last one I'm actually going to do a knot here. I'm going to do two, just you don't want our bear head falling apart. There we go. And I'm going to just finish the thread by taking it back into the seam like that, and giving it a trim like that. Now once I have these done on both sides of the bear, you can do a finger press, and if you want you can iron, but just keep in mind you don't want to cause too much stress on that, because it'll make his head look a little funny. He'll get lopsided. Also, make sure you use a pressing cloth. Remember that this felt does have some polyester in it, so there could be some burning or melting. We don't like that. We don't want to have a melted bear face. But I'll be back after I've done all of these darts, and we will proceed to the next step of the bear.